everybody, and welcome back to Sunshine and Serenity. And today I'm going to talk about growing in containers and the various ways that you can utilize what you have in order to grow you some food this year. So many of you guys may not be in a place where you guys can have an in-ground garden or you can have raised beds. Those are both great options for growing, and I have grown in both of those conditions. I grew in raised beds last year because we were renting the property that we lived at. This year we bought our very first property, our very first homestead. So if you've been following us on our journey, we finally have our own homestead, and we have 2 in-ground garden spaces, but I am also growing in containers as well, and then we are planning on adding some raised beds next year. So I am growing in a variety of different ways because there is no one size fits all when you are growing food. So many of you I know have been feeling the crunch this year with inflation and the talk of food shortages and all of those things. I know many of you guys have been feeling the call and the pull to maybe grow some of your own food if you can, and some of you may not be in a place where you can do that, and maybe it may not be, maybe you live in the city. Maybe you live in an apartment, maybe you just don't live in a property that's yours. Maybe it's something that you rent, much like we were for many years, but you still want to be able to grow some of your own food. So today I'm going to show you the various different containers that you can grow in to grow most, if not all, of your food. So you ready? Let's get started. Okay, so number 1 is going to be just your normal pots, right? So you can grow a variety of things in pots. There are different sizes. You have small pots, you have big pots, all kinds of different pots that you can grow things in. Now, when you're growing in containers, there are several things that you need to know. So number 1, you need to pick the container size for the root depth of your plant. So what I mean by that is tomato plants need have a much larger root system, right? So they need a much deeper container as opposed to something like that's shallow rooted, like your herbs or your lettuces. Those things don't need a huge container because their root system doesn't get very deep. So you just need to know what size container you need for the plant you're going to grow, because that will make a huge difference on whether your plant thrives or whether your plant is stunted and just doesn't do super great. So the first thing is obviously pots and containers. So what I have done is anytime I have bought plants from the nursery or plants were given to me, or even I've even picked a lot of these up on the side of the road. So you can get a lot of these free or cheap. Just always save them. So instead of throwing all of my pots out, I just save them, and I have this huge collection of pots so that whenever I need a pot, I can just go and pick out the size that I need, because I don't throw them away, I save them. So your first one is your typical pot or growing container. All right, something else is like a metal tub or a metal wash tub, or like the ice buckets, ice containers, things like that, troughs, all those kind of things. So what you can do is you can just take these, drill some holes in the bottom, and you have a planter. Now I have planted several things in these containers. I have mint growing in some of these. I've also grown some flowers. You can grow different lettuces, herbs, all those things in containers like this. So these are a great option, because a lot of times you can find these really cheap at garage sales or in the store. Like at the end of summer clearance is a really good time to stock up on a lot of these things for growing season. So always look for things. I usually buy a lot of the times used, or if people are just giving it away, or if it's on the side of the road. Like it's a good way to get a variety of containers for your growing needs. So one of these metal tubs, and these will hold up and last you for years and years, whereas a lot of your plastics that I'm going to talk about, you may get several growing seasons out of them, but they will break down eventually because they are plastic. Whereas your metal and like your stainless and things like that are going to last you, or your galvanized, it's going to last you a lot longer. So another option is growing in galvanized tubs. All right, your next option is fabric grow bags. So these are great. I actually got, these are a 10-gallon bag, and I actually got these off of Amazon, and I got them in a 10-pack. I will find the link and I'll link them below. These are a really great option because I can grow pretty much anything that I grow in the garden in these bags. I've actually got some winter squashes and pumpkins growing in these right now currently. I can grow squashes, I can grow tomatoes. They're very deep and wide. So my winter squashes, I actually have 2 plants per pot planted. And these are just really great. They have little handles, so they're easy to be able to pick up and move. So that is one benefit to growing in containers, is you can pick it up and move it if you don't like the area it's in. If it's getting too much sun and it needs some shade, you can pick it up and move it. And so that is one of the things that is versatile about growing in containers versus growing in the ground or raised beds, because you can't just pick up and move those places, right? So it's got really great handles. These are really well made, and I had grown in these last season and got the bags again this season, or used the bags again this season that I used last year, in addition to just go ahead and buying another set. And they have held up wonderfully. I'm not having any issues with any breakdown, any tearing. These will last for several seasons, and so these are definitely a great investment for the amount of quality that you're getting and the amount of growing time that you're getting. But fabric grow bags are another great option with these containers. Now, one thing you do have to remember with growing in containers is you need to water and fertilize. So you will probably have to water containers more often than you would something in the ground or in a raised bed, as well as being able to give those plants what they need as far as nutrition. So you may get soil that has fertilizer in it, but that fertilizer will get depleted very quickly in containers, and so you need to add back things in there like fish emulsion or your different various fertilizers into your containers to continue to feed your plant growth. Another thing that I don't have an example of because I can't pick it up and move it, it's actually in my front yard, is stackable planters. So I have a green stalk in the front yard, and they are pretty pricey. So if it's out of your price range, I know that Dollar Tree also sells a version of the stackable planters. I actually do have some of those that I grew herbs in last year. But those are another great option because they are vertical. So it's taking up less space, so you can grow with those out on like a patio or something that doesn't require a lot of space, because you're growing vertical versus growing a bunch of individual pots. So that's a great option as well. Another thing that is a good option is some of these square crate things. So I got one of these or a couple of these when I was given some produce this year. And I have not grown in these yet, but I figure this would be a good option because they already have the holes already in the bottom to let out drainage. And so I'm actually thinking about trying this for maybe some potatoes or sweet potatoes or something like that. So it is very key to utilize what you have in order to make the most out of your growing space and also your budget, right? So since these were given to me, I'm gonna give it a go this year on growing something in this and let you guys know what I think. But this is another great option if you're given things that you can make work for a planter. Just do it, right? Just go for it. You never know if you don't try, right? So that's another option for containers that I'm gonna try this year. Another option that I have grown in for many years are these very large feed buckets, right? So these are the round barrels that a lot of farmers will get their feed from or get their feed in. I think you could see them at Tractor Supply. I know they come already filled with the feed in them. These were actually given to me by a friend who didn't need them anymore. So if you have friends that have animals or livestock and they get these type of feed barrels, you may ask them, hey, are you gonna keep those? Like, do you have any that you can sell or get rid of? I see people selling these a lot on Facebook Marketplace for a pretty good price, but these are extremely large, very deep. You can grow pretty much anything that you would grow in the garden in these barrels. You just drill some holes in the bottom and let them go. I've had squash in these. I've had strawberries in these. They do really well. This is actually our second or third season with these buckets, and they've held up really well. Again, they are a plastic material, but they're more of a heavy duty plastic. So they will eventually break down. You'll probably have more trouble with the plastic growing containers if you're growing in full sun all the time, because that is going to break down your plastic quicker if it's in the sun. But so far I'm going on 2 or 3 seasons with these. They're still holding up good. So those are another great option. You can grow a lot of your deep plants. You can grow multiple plants in these barrels because they're so big. So you can grow herbs, lettuces, tomato plants, pretty much anything that you can grow in these barrels. So that is another great option. Another option would be totes. So if you have a couple of totes laying around, this is another great thing that you can grow in. Again, it is plastic, so it may break down after 1 or 2 seasons. So it wouldn't be like a long-term solution, but if you're needing something compact to grow in, totes are a great option. You can drill holes in the bottom, fill it with some dirt, plant things in it because it's wider and longer depending on what size you go with. You can plant multiple plants in that one tote, so you're getting more for a smaller area than you would maybe some larger individual pots. So that's a good option as well. You can also do like a greenhouse dome on it with a bag of soil. So if you want to grow in a bag of soil, lettuces or anything like that over the winter, you can put that on a tote lid, use the tote bottom as a clear tote as like a greenhouse, like your own mini greenhouse on your porch. So that's another great option to grow in, is your totes. One of the options that I didn't mention because I don't have any right now are swimming pools. So those plastic kiddie pools that you can get at Dollar General, Walmart, things like that, they're really great to get at the end of season. And a lot of people will actually just buy them for the summer and then get rid of them. Like they'll put them on the side of the road, or you'll see people just, giving them away, things like that. So I've gotten several of those for free in the past just because people use them for 1 season and then they're done with them. So these are another great option. Again, you just drill some holes in the bottom, fill it with some soil, and you can grow a lot of variety of things. I've grown strawberries in them and done really well with my strawberries in the kiddie pool. Again, it's something that's going to break down after 1 or 2 seasons because it is plastic, but it is a great solution if you're looking for something short term that you can use. That's another great option. If you're looking to be able to build some raised beds for a pretty cheap price, or a pretty relatively inexpensive price, build them out of cement blocks. So those square cement retainer blocks that you can buy that have the holes in the 2 holes in the top, you can actually line out your raised bed with those, and that's what I did with my garlic and onion bed this year. And then those holes you can also plant in, so you're getting like double the planting out of just one area. So you can plant flowers or herbs in those holes alongside that bed, and then so you're getting like 2 different growing spaces for one. So that is another great option. So as you can see, there are many different options for you to grow in. If you are short on space, or you're in a place where it's not a permanent setup, there are a lot of different options out there. There's probably more options that I haven't mentioned. I know this year we are trying out growing in gutters. We are going to try to grow various herbs and lettuces in the gutter system attached to the end of our shop. So we're trying that out, but when in doubt, you can pretty much turn a lot of different things into growing space, into containers. It's always worth a try, right? Because you're not out a lot of money if you've already got the materials. So there's many different options for you to start growing food no matter where you are. So if you are feeling the push to start growing food, but you're wondering, where am I going to grow this at, right? What am I going to put this stuff in? Like, I have no, you may be saying, I have no space. I can't do it on a large scale. If you know anything about my story and our story before we actually moved here this year, we actually lived with a very small backyard. We did some raised beds, but I did a lot of container gardening. I did a lot of containers. I did a lot of pots and planters and things like that, just working with the space that I had. So I didn't always have space to do 2 in-ground gardens plus raised beds and containers. That just was not always a feasible option for us. So when I talk about growing in containers and how it is possible for you to grow food where you're at, it's because I experienced that firsthand, and I know that it is possible. So just get started, use what you have, use what you can get cheaply, make do with what you have where you are, and just learn. Take the time now to learn how to grow it, so that when you are able to be in that forever home, or you're able to finally have those raised beds or that in-ground garden, that you have the skills and the knowledge that you need to be able to grow those things well. So take the time now to learn it in containers, and just start. Just do it where you're at. Just go ahead and get started with it, and just know that you can do it, and it is worth it to grow some of your own food, especially in this very uncertain time that we are going through in history, and just with this very broken food system that we always relied on, right? So if this video was helpful, I hope this helps you get started, and just know that you can do it and you can grow food. So if this was helpful, if you'll give this video a thumbs up, if you will hit the like and subscribe button, leave a comment below if there's anything that you have grown in container wise that I did not mention. I know there's probably lots of things that people have grown in. I actually just thought about, back over here, I'm growing a plant in a tire hung from a tree, so you can grow in tires too. So there's all kinds of different things that you can grow in. So if there's something that I missed, drop in the comment below to help other people get started growing their own food this year. So I appreciate all you guys for following and subscribing, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed this journey that we are on so far. As you saw in the beginning of the video, we have new baby chicks that mamas have hatched out. I actually have 2 more broody mamas that are sitting on more eggs, so we should have some more chicks soon. But yeah, so we're just growing and learning, and doing this thing all together this year. We're right there with you with being able to try to be in a place where we could be more self-sufficient on our farm. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time, friends. Bye.